Hello, you're watching news from Kazakhstan. It is Friday, November 16th. I'm Nurbek Savitahunov. These are the headlines. Price of informants. Financial police announces rewards for reporting on corruption crimes. A simple written note gets you paid for informing on the perpetrators. Currency Day. The tenge turns 19 years old. An exhibition of collectible coins was organized in Astana to commemorate the anniversary. Kick the habit. Almaty residents marked the International Smoke-Free Day with a campaign to exchange cigarettes for fruits and candy. The Agency for Combating Economic Crimes and Corruption has defined the remuneration amount for those who tell on bribe takers and givers. So far, not many are volunteering to make money off of corrupt officials. However, the financial police is convinced that honest citizens will not stand by idly.
It has become rather easy to make money out of information on corruption offenses and crimes. All one needs to do is file a financial police report to get from $300 to $1,000 from the corruption-fighting officials. But that, of course, in case the information appears to be significant and reliable. The law on financial incentives for the informants came into effect 1.5 months ago. Curiously, it brought up unpleasant associations with the infamous era of Stalinist repressions of 1937. However, the financial police representatives disapprove of such labeling by implying that those reporting the corruption-related infringements to law enforcement authorities rather prove to be true patriots. It is inappropriate to identify help in fighting against economic crimes as squealing. We see these people as true patriots concerned about the future of Kazakhstan. By turning a blind eye to corruption incidents, we foster its further growth and help the corrupt officials make even more money illegally. A public figure, Sergei Molchanov, once experienced the full range of so-called advantages of cooperation with the financial police on a bribing case. The field investigators provided the informant with marked bills and recorded the fact of the money transmission. However, the video recording was later declared illegal, which eventually ruined the case. Sergei continues fighting corruption and endorses the creative approach of financial police. In my opinion, the current number of social-minded citizens in Kazakhstan does not exceed 10%. As soon as it reaches 60%, corruption will be strangled as such. I want that to happen as soon as possible. According to a brief survey, the remaining 90% of not-so-conscious citizens showed lack of patriotic enthusiasm towards the financial police innovation. There appear to be quite a few reasons behind the public reluctance. I would probably do that on condition of anonymity because I'm sure that squealing will eventually come back to haunt me in one way or another. It's a small world, and what goes around comes around, they say. Officials are rotten to the core and are beyond remedy. Their corrupt activities will only escalate. Terminating bribing attempts is a great idea. However, I'm not sure people should do that for money, though. It still remains to be seen whether fighting corruption through paid informers proves to be successful. It is also a matter of whether financial police possesses sufficient assets to finance Kazakhstan patriots who choose to make their living by reporting corrupt officials.
Who is spreading extremism and how to fight against it is debated at the second annual Forum of Religious Scholars. Some of the offered suggestions are to be stricter with suspicious websites and improve teachers' knowledge on their subject. Find out which other preventive measures were discussed at the forum in the next report.
Officials involved in religious and educational affairs have gathered experts and representatives from religious movements in the capital yesterday to discuss the government's policy on spiritual issues. The administration of Atarau region, notorious for religious incidents, said the problem is caused by the lack of professional theologists in the area. Our main goal is to train specialists and invite theologists from other regions. Not everyone present here today can tell black from white. Are there any professional theologists here willing to work in our region? You are welcome to join our team. Just recently, deputies and National Security Committee officials complained of how hard it is to keep an eye on young adults, as they often seek advice from sites with latent extremist ideas. The law must be tough on such organizations, said Aydar Abuo, the head of the International Center of Cultural and Religious Affairs. He also made a surprising statement saying that people with problems realizing their libido desires are more likely to become terrorists. In most cases, young adults who cannot start a family due to financial reasons fall victim to destructive sites. Those who die in the name of jihad are promised to find themselves in paradise, surrounded by beautiful women. Murat Abenov, who was only recently appointed Deputy Minister of Education, also put in his 2 cents. The ex-MP said that teachers of religion studies in schools are the ones who need to be re-educated in the first place. We have a number of issues to address regarding preparing teachers of religion in schools. They must not teach children based on the views of one person or certain religious groups. They must teach according to the officially enacted laws. It is the teachers themselves who need to be re-educated. We're also working on it now. When the forum ended, organizers passed the resolution to all of the participants. It calls for spreading the values of tolerance and peaceful coexistence. Later, during the briefing, the officials said that from now on, all religious associations would have to report their financial activities to the government. It should be noted that after a recent re-registration procedure, only 17 confessions remained out of 46 in the past. However, not a word has been said during the forum regarding last year's bombings, special operations, as well as dozens of killed and charged terrorists.
The case of enslaved citizens of Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan in the Russian capital is closed. Prosecutors of Moscow's Preobrazhensk district court found no element of a crime in the illegal deprivation of freedom of grocery store clerks Leila Ashirova and Bakiya Kasimova. The criminal case was closed quietly while official confirmation arrived from the prosecutor's office 3 days after the decision.
To recap, 14 employees of a grocery store were freed by volunteers and journalists. The majority of them are citizens of Kazakhstan. The store owner managed to take several people, including 2 teenage children, to an unknown location. In the meantime, store owners Sakyan Muzdabayev and Jansulu Istanbekova have never been arrested and continue with their business, despite attempts of volunteers and lawyers to seek justice. It was recently revealed that one of the store owners has a sister, Sholpan, who was convicted back in 2002 for the use of slave labor. However, a year later, she was pardoned by the presidential decree and still runs a store in Moscow, Russia. On Thursday, the attorney of one of the victims commented on the information about the dropping of the case. On Wednesday, I learned that the case was suspended for some reason that I did not know of, so I called the investigator. He told me that the prosecution is dropping the case due to the lack of evidence. We have the right to appeal and we will exercise it. We will not give up the fight and we will go all the way.
The National Mint in the Kazakh capital is organizing an exhibition on the birthday of its currency. The exposition of collectible and investment coins is a ringing promotion of additional financial tools. Visitors at the Nazarbayev Center can not just look but also purchase the items on display. Our correspondents from Astana found out how much these coins are worth in the next report.
The 500 tenge coin is worth about $6,600. The value of the national currency is inadequate when it comes to gold coins. In fact, according to the National Bank, their value increases every year depending on the stock exchange prices of gold. Bankers say that gold coins are one of the most high-yielding investment tools for cleared funds in Kazakhstan. The daily price may vary. The London Metal Exchange sets its own prices on a daily basis. Depending on their rate, we set the prices on our coins. The value of gold coins depends on the weight and rate of the gold, and it starts at $200. Collectible coins are not any cheaper. Many of them are here on display for the first time. They were found during the digs of Kazakh archaeologists. The oldest ones are dated back to the 5th century. The currency of the ancient Turks, dirhams and pools, were in use back then. It is interesting that already then, the dirhams were freely exchanged to foreign currencies, while counterfeits produced fake coins from melted copper wire. The coins of Turkic Khaganate era could very well depreciate over time. These once devalued coins were stabilized following the reforms. It is similar to what is happening during the crisis nowadays with the same reforms, changing the form of coins. In other words, history repeats itself from time to time. Coin names and denominations have been changing, while the laws of market and monetary policy remain the same. The only difference between these coins and the modern paper money is that they are more valuable. Coin exhibit organizers say that people gradually show more interest in coins during the times of financial instability.
Stock exchange speculators advise investors to keep their money elsewhere in addition to the national basket. On the eve of the second wave of the crisis, analysts offer to buy dollars as well as yuans, and of course to invest in gold, which is vastly underpriced according to Forex, meaning it will go up in price.
Back on November 12, 1993, the president of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev, signed a decree on the introduction of the national currency, and 3 days later, on November 15, the tenge has entered circulation. Literally within a week, the new coins and notes lifted from the underground vaults were spread throughout the country. In 1993, the initial exchange rate was $1 per 4.75 tenge. Since then, the national currency has depreciated by more than 30 times. Now, experts come up with the forecasts about tenge's future. The tenge is currently under pressure, but these fluctuations in the exchange rate are insignificant. I have examined the data from the beginning of 2012, and it appears that the tenge had devalued by less than 1.5%. The nominal exchange rate of tenge against the dollar fell by 1.5%, and it should be noted that it tended to strengthen in the first part of the year. However, its value decreased by 2% in the second part.
The lower chamber of parliament ratified the bill on public education savings account system. Parliamentarians offer parents to start saving up from the cradle. However, parents are increasingly concerned about the quality of education in the country, the system is experiencing a crisis of confidence. Constructive criticism was heard by our reporters in the next story.
Polina Shimanskaya, the mother of 2 children, is skeptical about a new idea suggested by the Minister of Education, Bakhajan Zhomagulov. She needs to provide education for her sons, and therefore she's saving money. She can only rely on herself.
Я не доверяю нашим банкам, я не доверяю нашим накопительным фондам.
I trust neither our banks nor our savings funds. And frankly speaking, I do not want to pay for the quality of education provided in our country. In fact, I believe that looking so far ahead in our country is not practical. I am skeptical about the Ministry of Education programs.
Я вообще никак не отношусь.
In the meantime, the minister himself strongly promotes the idea of public education savings account system in Parliament. The lower house already approved the bill. Bakhajan Zhomagulov explains how to implement the new program at the very basic level. Let's say parents set up an accumulative deposit for their 10-year-old child for the period of 7 years. The initial fee is $33. Subsequent contributions are $100 every month. The bank charges a monthly fee of 8%, while the state premium equals to 5% per annum. Economist Miruert Mahmutova believes that the introduction of public education savings account system is not effective. It is not clear who is the target for such a system. Not every family can afford monthly deposits of $100 for education. I believe that the oil revenues should be invested into public education instead of offering the people to invest their money in order for their children to receive an education someday. I do not support this approach. In fact, I do not trust bank deposits so much. We are all familiar with the issues major banks in Kazakhstan had to deal with during the last crisis. Nobody knows what to expect next time something like that happens. The portion of budget expenditures on education in Kazakhstan is only 4.2% of the GDP, which is similar to poor African countries like Angola and Uganda, says Mahmutova. However, the Minister of Education thinks from the perspective of developed Europe. The bill was drafted based on the experience of Belgium, Spain, Sweden, and the United Kingdom, and it sure seems attractive. They're not taking responsibility for its long-term consequences. They simply did not reason the probable outcomes. We already see the current problems with defined contribution pension plan. In the meantime, Polina Shimanskaya vividly remembers the last brilliant idea suggested by the Minister of Education, which dealt with the reduction of summer holidays. That is when Polina's son Ruslan painted caricature graffiti of Bakhajan Zhomagulov in protest of the matter.
The creation of the customs union is not yet stimulating the development of the regional market in Kazakhstan. The Eurasian Development Bank published its analysis where it notes that professional stock exchange players prefer to work with international markets. For instance, the Russian market is of interest to every 10th issuer, while 60% of Kazakh participants are interested to enter the London and Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Kazakh regulators fear the leak of capital from the country.
The participants of the Conference on the Development of Regional Exchange Centers calculate the prospects of integration of stock markets among the countries of the customs union. But so far, only some risks were identified concerning the mutually beneficial terms of securities placement on Russian and Kazakh stock exchanges, as well as admission to the bilateral participation. Nevertheless, the integration of Kazakhstan stock exchanges at the Eurasian level is already lagging behind Russian counterparts. At the same time, Russian companies have just begun to consider investment prospects in Kazakhstan. It seems that Russia has a lucrative and promising market, but their investors are also exploring opportunities, and as your study shows, Kazakhstan market draws interest with extraction of natural resources. In Belarus, perhaps, the investors will be interested in agriculture processing and mechanical engineering. The financial market regulators are concerned that the Russian market will turn out to be more attractive, and Kazakhstan, as it is now, will not generate external interest. Kazakhstan is facing the problem when more or less advanced strata of investors, that of middle or higher class, invest available assets abroad. In this case, we will always see the strong outflow of capital due to the lack of development in the local stock market. Sergei Ovcharenko, who represents the interest of the ETS commodity exchange established 2 years ago, cites the example of Kazakh grain sales and says it is time to resolve issues with the company's transparency, quality of goods, international certification, and transportation. At the same time, he points out the lack of conditions and economic incentives created for entrepreneurs in Kazakhstan. Business does not invest in the development of production. They would rather cultivate with minimum costs than invest in larger agricultural output. There is more interest in poor harvest, which will result in higher margin gain instead of investing in technology and cultivation of the higher yielding wheat. Conference participants generally agreed that the development of stock and commodity markets of the 3 countries is hampered not only by technical and legal barriers between Russia, Belarus, and Kazakhstan. Soviet mentality, semi-legality, and non-transparency of companies still remain the main issue.
Senators demand to toughen penalties for driving under the influence of alcohol up to criminal prosecution. Several MPs of the upper chamber appealed to the Prime Minister with this proposal. The main argument is the increase of car accidents on the roads.
According to MPs, traffic accidents claimed 30 lives in Almaty in October alone. Senators suggested stepping up liability for traffic violations, for instance revoking driver's licenses for up to 5 years for speeding. Current fines for similar traffic offenses equals to a little over $200. The MPs also suggest having individuals driving with suspended licenses arrested for 10 days and limit the issuance of Category C driving licenses to people under 21 years old, or strictly forbidding people under 25 with less than 5 years of experience to work as drivers of public transportation. Yet there are more demands. We request to increase the penalty for parking along busy streets with hazard lights on, causing traffic jams. Moreover, in order to reduce the accident rate, we should impose restrictions on driving at night from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. for drivers with less than 1 year driving experience.
In other news, World Tobacco-Free Day was marked in Almaty. Activists offered passers-by to exchange cigarettes for sweets. The next report has more.
The local administration of Almaty launched an anti-smoking campaign, Don't Smoke Your Health Away. Local college students were offering an unusual cigarette for chocolate exchange to the population. November 15th is Smoke-Free Day. Do you agree to exchange cigarettes for chocolate? Smoking is hazardous. Okay, let's do it. I don't want to smoke anymore. Local celebrities also endorsed the anti-smoking initiative. All cigarettes collected through the event were later buried in cement. I believe such campaigns come with great social benefits. We are planning to organize more events in the future to finally make the younger generation think twice before taking up smoking. Smokers who form the unhealthy habit by the age of 18 are highly unlikely to break it on their own, just like singer Berkut, who started smoking in his teens and failed to quit despite a few attempts. However, this time the performer seems to have a considerable incentive. I set a goal to have my teeth straightened, whitened, and brace-free by the new year. Then I will quit smoking to maintain them in good condition. In reality, typical smokers are often hostile to similar campaigns. This is supported by recent findings of foreign sociologists who say that addicts smoke twice as much on the Global No Smoking Day.
Kuralay Nurkadilova met with journalists on Thursday in Almaty. The designer who created the outfit for the Olympic team, which created quite a stir in the public, will now make furniture too. The price for the well-known designer's new products is yet to be determined. We turn to our next and final report for more.
On Thursday, a well-known Kazakhstani fashion designer gave a free masterclass in Almaty. She shared her advice on what to wear, popular trends in the coming winter, and other details of styling secrets. The season's main trend is a combination of 3 different colors in an outfit. For example, a yellow shirt, a purple skirt, and a green bag. Alternatively, these colors can make a perfect match in a set of bags or shoes. The mini lecture came as part of Almaty Business Forum. The masterclass itself was free, but the affordability of designer clothes is an entirely another matter. The average cost of a dress from Kuralay is $2,000, with some outfits coming with a price tag of $5,000. This is definitely out of reach for most people in Kazakhstan, although the MPs and officials have been Kuralay's loyal clients for quite some time now. I have a lot of well-known clients among businessmen and politicians. Once I was Zagipa Yahyanova's fashion designer. A third-year student, Farida, prefers outfits of unknown designers. Their works can be easily found at Almaty's central flea market. What mostly attracts people here is reasonable prices, which vary from $50 to $70. Farida cannot afford designer clothes, but came to the high fashion show just to see the trendy outfits. As a student, I cannot afford to wear designer clothes. When I'll be making good money, I hope I will become Kuralay's loyal client. The designer of the Kazakh national team Olympic uniform says that fashion is a game for sophisticated people. An ordinary student with an average income supports this idea. But at the same time, Fariza dreams that one day designer clothes will be affordable to everyone and not only VIP customers.
That is all for today. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.